Finish your role. The wheelchair millionaire mistook her for a paid actress, acting as his girlfriend. Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let us return to our main character. The flash of camera lights exploded like lightning across the marble lobby, and Luna Carter froze in place as if the whole world had suddenly tilted toward her. Paparazzi pushed against the security barricades, shouting questions she didn't understand, didn't expect, didn't even think could possibly be aimed at her. Is she the new girlfriend? How long have they been together, miss? Look this way. She looked down at her faded jeans, the coffee stains she'd been too tired to scrub out of her shirt, and the fraying strap of her thrift store bag. None of this made sense. 2 hours ago, she was wiping tables at Harbor Cafe to earn enough for her sister's medicine. Now she was being dragged almost literally through the glass doors of Hale Horizons straight into the spotlight of a billionaire's world she had never even stepped close to before. Through the blinding lights and chaos, she saw him, Damian Hale, the wheelchair-bound tech billionaire whose face was on half the business magazines she stocked at the cafe. He looked directly at her as if she were someone he had been expecting, someone important, someone she absolutely was not. And when he lifted his hand slightly wordlessly, asking her to come closer, Luna's world splintered into a truth she wasn't ready to face. Whatever this was, whatever madness she'd been pulled into, she wasn't getting out of it easily. Hours earlier, the sky over Seattle had been a dull winter gray as Luna navigated the narrow stairwell leading to her apartment. Her back ached from double shifts and a cold draft crept through the torn seams of her jacket, but she forced a smile the moment she opened the door. Mia, her 12-year-old sister, looked up from the tiny kitchen table, eyes bright despite the stack of overdue medical bills beside her. "You're home," Mia said, voice as soft but relieved. "Always," Luna answered, brushing snowflakes from her hair before pulling food from the fridge. "And I brought leftovers, good ones this time." Mia laughed tiredly. "Everything you bring home is good." Luna swallowed the lump in her throat. She was 25, overworked, underpaid, and terrified every day that she wouldn't earn enough to keep Mia's medication coming. But she would never let her sister see the fear, never let her feel the weight of debts the hospital calls, or the fact that their father's imprisonment still appeared on every background check Luna failed. Mia went to shower, humming faintly, and Luna finally let herself slump into a chair. She flipped through the mail, 2 rejections for waitressing jobs, 1 electric bill, and a final notice from the hospital. She pressed her palms to her eyes, willing herself not to cry. That was when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but the message preview froze her breath. Urgent. Please confirm your arrival for the Hale Horizons contract meeting. Luna blinked, confused. Wrong number, she typed back. But a heartbeat later, another message came. You're listed as the actress hired from Rehearsals partnership program. Your presence is required today. Compensation $75,000. Her heart stopped. $75,000. That was 6 months of medication, a year of rent, a lifeline. She typed fast. I'm not an actress. The reply came instantly. We were informed otherwise. If you decline, we will find a replacement. Luna didn't know if it was a scam, a mix-up, or a miracle. But she knew one thing: turning down that money meant choosing fear over survival. 15 minutes later, she was racing down the stairs, hair barely brushed, wearing the only coat she owned. The address led her to the tallest gleaming tower in downtown Seattle. Hale Horizons, Damian Hale's empire. Security stopped her at the entrance, then immediately stepped aside when they heard her name. She was ushered through polished hallways, past sculptures and abstract art pieces, into a private office where Damian Hale sat behind a sleek glass desk. He was even more intimidating in person, broad shoulders under a charcoal blazer, sharp jawline striking storm gray eyes. The wheelchair didn't diminish his presence. It amplified it. He studied her with unsettling intensity. You're late, he said, voice smooth but edged. I think there's a mistake, Luna managed. His brows lifted, unimpressed. My assistant doesn't make mistakes. I'm not an actress, she blurted. I'm a waitress. Silence crashed between them. Damian leaned back slowly, his fingers tapping the metal armrest. Interesting. That's not... I didn't mean... Luna stammered. I just don't want to mislead. He cut her off. I don't care what you are. I care about whether you can follow instructions. Her stomach flipped. Instructions for what? Damian nodded to the document on the table. Contractual agreement. Partner role. Public companion. Duration 4 weeks. Compensation 75,000. Luna's breath choked. You want me to pretend to be your girlfriend? Damian finished flatly. Yes. Her pulse hammered. Why me? Damian's expression remained unreadable. Because someone sent your name to us, and because you walked through that door. That's enough for now. Her mouth went dry. Mia's medication, the hospital bills, the cold apartment, her life collapsing faster every day. Damian watched her struggle, his voice softening just barely. If you want the job, Miss Carter, finish your role. Luna stared at the contract, at the pen, at the man whose life she was about to step into. Then with trembling fingers and a heart pounding in her ears, she signed her name. The moment her pen left the paper, Damian's gaze sharpened, as if something in him had shifted. And that was the moment the elevator doors outside burst open, paparazzi shouting her name as if she had belonged in Damian Hale's world all along. Luna had never sat in a room so bright, so polished, or so suffocating. The styling suite on the 13th floor of Hale Horizons looked like a miniature fashion studio. Mirrors lined every wall, white lights buzzed overhead, and racks of designer clothing stretched from one end to the other. She stood frozen in the middle of it all, clutching her thrift store bag like a shield, while a team of stylists circled her with curious eyes. Turn, please, one of them said, tapping her shoulder lightly. Luna obeyed, cheeks burning with embarrassment as they examined her from head to toe. She wished she could disappear. She looked nothing like the polished, camera-ready women she'd seen beside Damian Hale in old business articles. She was just Luna, and she had no idea how to belong here. A stylist with cat-eye glasses adjusted her frames. She has a natural look, fresh. Mr. Hale must be going for the understated charm type. Another nodded. Yes, quiet beauty, very European indie film. Luna nearly choked. I'm not an actress. They ignored her, already pulling clothing from hangers. Dresses and soft creams, warm coffees, deep navies, clothes she couldn't even pronounce the names of, let alone imagine wearing. A gentle hand touched her arm. You'll be fine, dear. Just breathe. She didn't realize she'd been holding her breath until then. They handed her a simple beige dress, elegant, soft flowing in a way that made her feel delicate instead of invisible. She changed in the private fitting room and stared at her reflection. For the first time in years, she didn't look tired. She looked like someone the world might actually see. Her chest tightened. When she stepped out, the room felt strangely quiet. Every stylist stared, but the person who stole her breath was Damian Hale himself. He was waiting by the door in a tailored black blazer, the sleeves pushed slightly up his forearms, revealing strong wrists. The wheelchair didn't diminish his presence. It commanded the room. His eyes storm gray with flecks of steel lifted to hers, and he froze, not a flicker of disdain this time, not the impatience he'd shown earlier, just a long, unreadable stare that rooted her to the floor. Luna's voice wobbled. Is something wrong? Damian didn't answer immediately. When he finally spoke, his tone was quieter than she'd ever heard it. No, just unexpected. She didn't know what that meant, didn't dare ask. James, his assistant, appeared beside him holding a folder. Miss Carter, here's your schedule. Wardrobe fittings twice a week, media training daily, behavior guidelines for public events. Not all of them, Damian interrupted sharply. James blinked. Sir? Remove the rule about not contradicting me, Damian said, eyes still locked on Luna. It doesn't apply to her. Luna's breath hitched. The stylists exchanged confused looks. James scribbled a note, trying to hide his surprise. They moved quickly after that, ushering Luna and Damian into the media training room, an elegant space with soft lights and a projector ready for crisis scenarios. A woman in a sleek pantsuit stood waiting, arms crossed. Miss Carter, she greeted. I'll teach you how to stand beside Mr. Hale without looking stiff or staged, how to place your hands for photos, what to say if reporters pressure you, and most importantly, how not to overshadow him. Overshadow him, Luna repeated, baffled. Damian Hale literally owns half the skyline. The trainer glared. Damian coughed into his hand, looking suspiciously like he was suppressing a laugh. The session began. Luna tried to follow instructions. Angle your body here. Hold his hand like this. Smile at the right moments, but she kept stumbling, turning the wrong direction, nearly tripping over her own feet. After her fifth failed attempt, she sighed dramatically. This is impossible. The trainer scowled. Miss Carter, you must maintain composure. The public must believe Luna shot back. Maybe the public should just stop expecting perfection. The room stilled. Damian turned his wheelchair towards her, expression unreadable. The trainer stiffened. With respect, that is not helpful. It is, Damian said, suddenly, voice firm. We're done here. The trainer blinked. But Luna doesn't need to follow your script, he cut in. She's here because she's herself, not because she knows how to pose. Luna stared at him in shock. Why was he defending her? The trainer left reluctantly, muttering under her breath. Luna rubbed her arms. Damian, I didn't mean to cause trouble. You didn't, but you're risking your image for someone you barely know. Damian tilted his head. You think my image is that fragile? No, Luna whispered. I just think I don't belong in your world. His gaze softened just slightly, a flicker she might have imagined. That's not for anyone else to decide. Before she could reply, James reappeared. Sir, the car is ready. The gallery event starts in 20 minutes. Luna's stomach plunged. Gallery event, cameras, people, reporters, she was not ready for this. In the car ride to the event, she sat stiffly beside Damian, conscious of how close their shoulders were. He glanced at her reflection in the tinted window. If you feel overwhelmed, he said quietly, just signal me. She looked at him startled. You'd help me? Damian's jaw clenched as though the question bothered him. I didn't hire you to drown in front of cameras. The car stopped. Flashbulbs immediately exploded outside the window. Luna pressed her palms against her knees, bracing herself. Damian held out his hand, not commanding, not cold. Just steady, offering. Her breath caught. She placed her hand in his. He didn't let go. The moment they appeared on the red carpet, reporters went wild. Mr. Hale, who is she? Is this your new girlfriend, Miss? Are you an actress? Luna froze. Her heart slammed against her ribs. But Damian tightened his hold, guiding her gently but firmly. Then he did something she didn't expect at all. He leaned into the microphones and said with calm certainty, She's with me. The world around them exploded, and Luna realized this was no longer a role she could play lightly, because for the first time Damian Hale's voice didn't sound like he was pretending. The gallery lights glowed like hundreds of tiny stars reflecting off marble floors, polished to a mirror shine. Luna stepped into the grand hall with Damian beside her, every camera turning instantly in their direction. The way people stared, curious, judgmental, fascinated, made her skin prickle. She wasn't sure where to look or how to breathe, but she felt Damian's grip tighten on her hand just enough to anchor her. Relax, he murmured, without looking at her. They don't matter. Easy for him to say. He looked like he belonged here, black blazer, sharp expression, calm posture, poised even in his wheelchair. Luna felt like she'd stepped onto a stage she didn't rehearse for. Still, she nodded, forcing her lungs to work. They moved through clusters of guests, billionaires, art critics, socialites, dripping diamonds. Luna spotted a gossip blogger at the far end of the room, a familiar face known for tearing reputations apart. His eyes narrowed on her immediately. Her heart sank. He smelled blood. Damian noticed her stiffen. He angled his wheelchair ever so slightly in front of her. Ignore him. I don't think he plans on ignoring me, Luna whispered. You're with me, he said quietly. They won't touch you. The words shouldn't have meant so much, but they did. James approached, tablet in hand. Sir, your board members are here. They're expecting you. Damian nodded, his expression shifting into something colder, more controlled. Luna followed him across the room, weaving between clinking glasses and clusters of muted conversations. A group of board members stood near a gold-framed painting, their suits crisp, their smiles tight. As Damian approached, their eyes flicked to his wheelchair, some with discomfort, others with impatience. Damian, one of them, greeted forced politeness in his tone. Good to see you. Out. Out. Luna hated that word instantly. Another board member whispered far too loudly to his colleague. He should be standing to greet Morimoto tonight. Optics matter. Damian's jaw tightened. Luna stepped closer. Is there a problem? She asked, voice steady despite the fear knotting in her stomach. The men glanced at her brows rising. And you are? Luna felt Damian's shift, ready to defend her, but she beat him to it. I'm his partner tonight, she said calmly, then extended her hand for a handshake. The board member hesitated awkwardly, unsure whether to lean down or simply ignore the gesture, so Luna made the choice for him. She lowered herself gracefully, bending slightly at her knees so her hand reached him at eye level. See? No one has to stand. The man blinked, startled, then reluctantly shook her hand. For a moment, the awkwardness dissolved, replaced by something like begrudging respect. Damian stared at her, the faintest spark of amusement in his eyes, maybe even admiration. You handle pressure better than my trained PR staff, he murmured under his breath. I'm just winging it, she whispered back. You're doing better than you think. Before she could respond, the gossip blogger appeared behind them. Well, well, he sneered. This isn't one of Damian Hale's usual types. Tell me, sweetheart, which agency sent you? Luna froze. Damian's voice sliced through the air. She's not an actress. The blogger smirked. Then what is she? Luna's heart thundered. She swallowed hard. She's with me, Damian said sharply. That's all you need to know. The blogger's eyes gleamed with suspicion. Interesting. Very interesting. He slipped away, clearly plotting a story. Luna felt sick. Damian, she whispered, panic rising. He's going to dig into my life. He's going to find that's him, Damian said calmly. I won't hide you. His words were so certain, so protective, that she couldn't breathe for a moment. A waiter approached with champagne. Luna reached for a glass with trembling fingers, needing something, anything to ground her. She took a sip too fast, coughing lightly. Damian angled toward her. Are you okay? She whispered honestly. I don't belong here. Neither do I, he replied. But here we are. Her chest tightened. The music grew louder as guests spread out through the gallery. Luna wandered toward a quiet corner to catch her breath, but Damian followed, rolling beside her. Tell me what's wrong, he said quietly. You really want to know? She asked. Yes, she exhaled shakily. They're looking at me like I'm a prop, like I'm pretending. Damian's eyes softened. You're not pretending, not to me. Heat flushed her cheeks. She wasn't sure what he meant, but the sincerity in his voice pulled her closer before she could stop herself. Then James rushed over, expression tight. Sir, he said, lowering his voice. We have a problem. Damian's eyes sharpened. What kind of problem? James hesitated. A reporter is digging into Luna's background. Luna's blood ran cold. James continued. They've already confirmed she was working at a cafe last night. The world around Luna tilted. Damian turned to her slowly. His expression was unreadable. Not angry, not surprise, just calculating. Luna, he said softly. Why didn't you tell me? Her throat closed up. I didn't think it mattered. His voice dropped to something deadly calm. It matters now. Her heart slammed against her ribs, fear clawing at her chest. This was it. The moment everything fell apart. The moment he realized she wasn't who he thought she was. Before she could speak, Damian leaned closer, his expression fierce, protective, almost dangerous. From now on, he said no more secrets. Luna swallowed hard, because she wasn't sure which terrified her more, losing the role, or losing the man who suddenly felt like the safest place she'd ever stood. Luna stood at the railing, overlooking the river deck, the wind brushing her hair as she gripped the metal bar to steady her nerves. City lights shimmered across the water, but her pulse drowned out everything except the echo of Damian's last words. No more secrets. They cut through her like a blade wrapped in silk, soft but impossible to ignore. She didn't know whether he was angry, disappointed, or simply determined. All she knew was that her chest felt too tight to breathe. Footsteps approached behind her, unhurried but certain. Damian rolled to her side, his expression unreadable in the dim glow of the deck lanterns. For a long moment, neither spoke. Luna stared at the river, wishing she could disappear beneath the dark water, before he asked the questions she wasn't ready to answer. "Why didn't you tell me?" Damian finally asked, his voice quiet, not accusing. Luna swallowed. "Tell you what, that my life isn't glamorous, that I don't belong in gowns or galleries, that I take the subway to double shifts and sometimes I can't pay rent on time." Her voice cracked. Would that have made the role more believable? Damian stared at her, stunned by the rawness in her voice. "Luna, that's not—" "You asked why I didn't tell you," she whispered. "That's why." Damian leaned back slightly, as if her honesty had struck him deeper than any lie could. The wind blew a strand of her hair across her cheek. He reached up, not touching her, but close enough that she felt the heat of his hand. "You're not the one pretending," he said, voice low. "I am." Luna turned to him, brows drawn. "What do you mean?" Damian exhaled, gaze dropping to the floorboards. "Tonight wasn't about business for me. It wasn't about shareholders or optics or proving I can still run this company. It was—" He hesitated, searching for the right words. "It was the first time in months I didn't feel like a broken exhibit on display." Luna's chest tightened. "You're not broken, Damian." "Maybe not," he murmured, finally meeting her eyes. "But I felt like I was." He turned his wheelchair slightly, facing the river. "Ever since the accident, people stopped seeing me as a person. They see the chair first, then the tragedy, then the fear that they don't know what to say. It's exhausting." Luna stepped closer, the river breeze tugging at her dress. "I don't see you that way." Damian's lips curved faintly. "I know. That's what scared me." The confession hung between them, fragile and warm. Luna felt her heartbeat soften, her shoulders easing despite the storm inside her. She tucked her hair behind her ear, struggling to steady her voice. "You think I'm hiding something," she said. "But the truth is, I've never belonged anywhere. Not with the people I grew up with, not at my old job, and definitely not here in your world. When you asked me to act as your girlfriend, I thought it was a chance to play someone who did belong, even if just for one night." Damian's eyes softened, something resembling regret flickering through them. "I wasn't trying to trap you." "I know," she whispered, "but I didn't want you to regret choosing me when you learned the truth." He considered her as though seeing her deeper than before. "Luna," he said slowly, "I'm not regretting anything." Before she could respond, James appeared at the deck entrance, clearing his throat. "Sir, the Morimoto delegation is asking for an informal greeting before the private dinner. They're in the East Lounge." Damian's expression hardened. Now they insisted. Luna stepped back, instinctively withdrawing. "I should let you go." Damian hesitated. "Come with me." Luna blinked. "What, I want them to meet you, but I'm not—" "You're with me," he said firmly, "and if anyone has a problem with that, they'll have to deal with me." She stared at him, stunned, searching for the weakness in his resolve. There wasn't one. Luna took a breath and nodded. "Okay." They headed inside together. The East Lounge glowed with warm lantern light and soft jazz humming through the speakers. The Morimoto delegation, 2 men in tailored suits and an elegantly dressed woman, looked up as Damian approached. Their expressions sharpened with mild curiosity at Luna. Damian bowed slightly with his upper body. "Thank you for coming tonight. May I introduce Luna Hart?" Luna bent politely. "It's an honor." Ms. Morimoto's eyes lit up with a gentle smile. "Your partner?" she asked. Damian answered without hesitation. "Yes." The woman nodded approvingly. "It's good to see a man who doesn't walk alone during difficult seasons." Luna felt her heart warm unexpectedly. The conversation flowed smoother than she feared. Damian discussed the upcoming partnership vision for accessibility expansions and international collaboration. Luna listened at first, then slowly found places to contribute small comments about cultural bridges, client relatability, and authenticity. Mrs. Morimoto listened intently. "You speak with sincerity," she told Luna. "Your presence balances him." Damian cast Luna a look that held something deep and quiet. "She does that," he murmured. Before Luna could process the warmth spreading across her chest, Mrs. Morimoto leaned forward, lowering her voice. "May I ask something, Miss Hart?" Luna nodded nervously. "Of course." "Do you love him?" the woman asked. The question hit Luna like a lightning strike. Her breath caught. Damian froze. Mrs. Morimoto chuckled softly. Forgive me. In our culture, we sense connection not from words, but from silence. Luna swallowed hard. I care about him, she managed. Mrs. Morimoto smiled knowingly, as though she saw the truth beneath Luna's hesitation. Then support him. A man who carries too much weight needs someone who sees beyond the surface. The delegation departed soon after leaving Luna and Damian in a warm hush. He turned to her slowly. You handled that better than I ever could have, he said softly. Luna looked at him, cheeks warm. I just spoke from the heart. Damian held her gaze, and for the first time he didn't try to hide the emotion in his eyes. So did I, he whispered. Something shifted between them, a fragile spark becoming a steady flame neither of them were ready to name. Not yet, but it was there. The physical therapy center smelled faintly of eucalyptus and disinfectant, a combination that always made Damian's chest tighten with memories. The parallel bars gleamed beneath the bright white lights, polished from years of trembling hands gripping them. Machines hummed in the background, punctuated by the soft thud of weights and the occasional groan of exhausted determination. Luna stood near the entrance, clutching her tote bag to her chest as she watched Damian wheel himself toward the bars. He looked different here, no tuxedo, no tailored blazer, just a gray-fitted athletic shirt and loose pants, his hair pushed back, his jaw set with stubborn resolve. Vulnerable. Human. Still powerful in a way that had nothing to do with money or control. His therapist, Ms. Grant, greeted him with a warm nod. You ready, Damian? No, he muttered. But I'm here. Luna stepped closer, uncertainty tightening her stomach. She had wanted to be here. She insisted on coming. Yet now, seeing the bars, the strain already gathering on Damian's face, she wondered if she was intruding on something too personal, too raw. Damian glanced at her, reading her hesitation instantly. You don't have to stay if it makes you uncomfortable. She shook her head. I'm not going anywhere. He gave her a small, grateful smile, one that flickered only for her before turning back to the bars. Ms. Grant positioned herself beside him. We'll try standing today. No steps yet. Just hold yourself upright. And remember, this is about control, not speed. Damian nodded once. Then he reached for the bars, his arms flexed, muscles straining as he shifted his weight forward. Luna felt her own breath hitch as he tightened his grip, veins rising along his forearms. Sweat already dotted his temple before he even tried to lift. 1, 2, 3, Ms. Grant counted softly. Damian pushed. His shoulders trembled, legs unresponsive beneath him. The chair behind him creaked as he leaned away from it, his entire body rigid with effort. A sound escaped him, half grunt, half restrained cry. Then his knees buckled and he collapsed onto the padded mat. Damian Luna rushed forward, but Ms. Grant caught his shoulders, lowering him gently to the floor. He shoved her hands away. Don't. His voice cracked with humiliation, something more violent than pain. Luna knelt beside him. Hey, it's okay. It's just one fall. It's the same fall, he snapped. Over and over. 2 years of the same damn fall. His fists slammed against the mat, breaths ragged as he stared at his useless legs. The bright lights above them made the tears in his eye glisten, not weakness but rage carved into salt. Ms. Grant stepped back respectfully, giving him space. Take your time, she murmured before walking toward another patient. Luna reached for Damian's hand. He flinched. Don't look at me like that. Like what she whispered. Like I'm someone who needs saving. Luna's heart squeezed, but she steadied her voice. Then look at me. He lifted his head, and in his gray eyes she saw fear disguised as bitterness. I can't keep doing this, he breathed. I'm tired of pretending I'm strong. I'm tired of hurting, and I'm tired of disappointing everyone. You're not disappointing me, Luna said. You should be, Damian whispered, because no matter how hard I try, my body refuses to listen. It mocks me. And now, his voice crumbled. Now you see it too. Luna moved closer, her knees touching his thigh. Damian, I didn't come here to judge your strength. I came here because I care. Let me stay. Let me help. You can't help, he choked out. No one can. Yes, she said softly. I can. He shook his head, but she cupped his face lightly, forcing him to meet her gaze. If you spend the rest of your life in that chair, she whispered, her voice trembling but steady. I'll still be here. I'm with you for you, Damian, not for your legs. He froze. Her words settled around them like warm dust. But if you want to walk, Luna continued, then I'll walk with you, step by step, fall by fall. I'll still be here. No effort is wasted. A sharp exhale broke from Damian's chest. His forehead leaned against hers, the weight of his own vulnerability pulling him closer. You're insane, he murmured. Maybe she whispered back, a small smile touching her lips. But I'm the right kind of insane. Damian let out a fractured laugh, a sound mixed with grief and relief. He pressed his forehead against her shoulder, his breath uneven. Luna wrapped her arms around him. For a moment the world shrank to two people sitting on a therapy mat, holding each other like lifelines. No company, no roles, no wheelchair, just aching hearts learning to trust. After several minutes, Ms. Grant approached softly, holding a set of hand weights. If you're up for it, she said gently, we can try again. Later. No rush. Damian wiped his face with the back of his hand, pulling away from Luna slowly. Give me a minute. Luna stood with him, helping him back into his chair. You don't need to rush, she whispered. He looked at her, not like he was broken, not like he was ashamed, but like she was the first person who had ever seen him without the armor. And you don't need to leave, he murmured. Stay, please. I'm not going anywhere, she said. He believed her this time. And as he positioned himself at the bars again, Luna stood at his side, not as a hired partner, not as a role that she was paid to play, but as someone who had chosen him long before he realized he needed choosing. The Blackwell Foundation gala glimmered beneath a canopy of gold pendant lights, each one reflecting off the marble floors like tiny captured suns. Luna paused at the entrance with Theo's hand in hers, her breath catching at the sight of Tuxedo's champagne towers and floral centerpieces taller than she was. Everything smelled faintly of roses and wealth, two scents she rarely encountered together. Theo tugged on her arm. Mom, are rich people always this shiny? She bit back a laugh, only on special occasions, but her voice trembled, betraying her nerves. She didn't belong here, not in her borrowed navy dress, not among people who'd never known the weight of overdue bills or broken dreams. Yet she was here because Damian asked her to be. When Theo spotted him across the room, his eyes lit up. Damian Theo waved wildly before sprinting ahead like his sneakers were on fire. Damian sat in a sleek black wheelchair near the stage, his tailored suit sharp as ever. He turned at the sound of Theo's voice, and something soft, something rare lit his storm-gray eyes. When Theo reached him, Damian opened his arm in a half-hug, pulling the child close with effortless affection. You're both right on time, he said as Luna approached. Her breath hitched at how devastatingly good he looked, the harsh edges of his CEO persona softened by the faintest genuine smile. We almost got lost, she admitted. Then I'm glad you found your way to me, he replied quietly, and she felt warmth rush to her cheeks. The dinner portion ended and murmurs swept across the ballroom as Damian wheeled toward the stage. Cameras rose. Reporters lifted pens. Luna held Theo gently at her side, watching Damian straighten with the quiet dignity he'd rebuilt piece by fragile piece. The spotlight clicked on. Good evening, Damian began, his voice deep, steady. 2 years ago, when I lost the use of my legs, I thought I'd lost everything that made me a man. Power, pride, purpose. Silence spread through the room. I was wrong. A whisper rippled through the audience. Damian continued. Strength is not measured by how we stand, but by how we choose to rise. Tonight, this foundation isn't just raising funds, it's raising futures. Applause thundered. Luna's chest swelled as she watched him, not as an employer or a billionaire, but as a man fighting to live with courage. Theo clapped so hard his hands turned red. Then, before the applause died down, Theo wriggled free. Mom, he whispered, can I go say something? Wait, Theo, no. But the boy was already running up the steps. The audience gasped. Theo reached Damian's side and tugged his sleeve. Damian leaned down confused as Theo whispered urgently. The microphone picked it up. I just want everyone to know, Theo said boldly, that Damian came to my school once and helped me fix my project when other kids made fun of me. He's a hero, even if his legs are sleepy. Laughter rolled through the room, warm, surprised, charmed. Damian choked on air. Luna wished the floor would swallow her whole. But then something beautiful happened. Damian placed a gentle hand on Theo's shoulder and guided him to the microphone. Heroes, Damian said slowly, come in all sizes. Sometimes his voice cracked just slightly. They're 6 years old and tell the truth better than grown-ups ever could. Applause burst again, louder, richer, more emotional. When the moment settled, Luna hurried up the stage, cheeks burning. She bowed awkwardly, scooped Theo into her arms and whispered fierce apologies, but Damian only shook his head, whispering back, he made tonight unforgettable. As the crowd mingled afterward, Ms. Morimoto, the influential investor Damian needed, approached with her husband. Her elegant eyes drifted to Theo, then to Luna. Your son is brave, she said warmly, and honest. In Japan we value children who speak from the heart. Luna bowed instinctively. Thank you. He's a handful. Ms. Morimoto smiled. He reminds me of my own son at that age. Her husband added, Mr. Blackwell, we accept your partnership proposal. Anyone who inspires this much loyalty and warmth clearly leads with more than numbers. Damian blinked, stunned. Luna felt her heart leap. Thank you, he said carefully. This means more than you know. The moment the Morimotos walked away, Damian's eyes found Luna's. That wasn't because of the pitch deck, he murmured. No, she whispered back. That was because of Theo, and because of you, he added. Luna swallowed hard, suddenly shy. Later that evening, they slipped out to the balcony where lanterns floated above the garden like suspended stars. The air was cooler here, quieter. Luna leaned against the railing, the soft glow painting her face gold. Thank you for being here tonight, Damian said, rolling closer. Both of you. You don't have to thank me, she said. I'm proud of you. Damian held her gaze. I'm proud of me too, but only because someone finally reminds me that I'm still human. She exhaled, her heart beating way too loudly. He looked at her as if she mattered, as if she wasn't a hired actress, as if the role she played had somehow become real. Luna tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Damian, she whispered, tonight was big. He nodded. For the company, No, she said softly. For you. He froze. For a heartbeat, the world stilled around them. Luna, he murmured, can I ask you something? She nodded. Breath caught. When you're with me, his voice softened. Does any part of this feel like acting anymore? Her lips parted, but no sound came, because the truth hovered between them. Warm, dangerous, inevitable. She opened her mouth to answer, but Theo barreled onto the balcony, waving a plate of chocolate tarts. Mom, Damian, look, they have free desserts. Damian laughed, the tension dissolving like mist. Luna looked up at the sky, her heart racing, knowing this wasn't the end of the question, just the beginning. The next morning, the world felt different, but not in the way Luna expected. She arrived at work early, balancing 2 coffees and a box of muffins she bought for Damian as a quiet thank you for letting Theo run wild the night before. She hummed softly as she entered the office lounge, replaying the balcony moment, the question Damian almost asked, the look in his eyes when he said the word acting. Her heart had floated through sleep and straight into sunrise. But when she stepped into the executive hallway, everything cracked. 2 interns stared at her, whispered. One of them quickly hid their phone behind their back. Another woman from accounting gave her a pitying glance. Luna slowed, brows furrowing. What? When she reached Damian's office, she found James standing stiffly outside the door, his face tight and pale. Luna, he said under his breath, we have a problem. Her pulse spiked. What's wrong? Is Damian okay? James exhaled hard. You should see this. He handed her his tablet. The headline hit her like a punch to the chest. Wheelchair millionaire falls for paid girlfriend. Insider reveals he's being played. Dozens of photos spilled down the screen. Luna pushing Damian's wheelchair at the charity gala, her hugging him in the hallway, the kiss she placed on his cheek backstage when Theo called him a hero. Every moment stolen, romanticized, twisted. Luna's stomach dropped. What? What is this? Someone leaked it, James said quietly. And by someone I mean Vivian Hahn. Vivian, Damian's former PR director. The woman who'd always eyed Luna with a mix of annoyance and suspicion. A woman fired last month for mishandling confidential documents. She sold the story James finished, and she framed it to make you look like a gold-digging performer hired to manipulate public sympathy. Luna's throat tightened painfully. But that's not true. Damian knows it's not true. James swallowed. Right now he's in damage control mode and the board is furious. They think you're ruining his public image. Some of them want to release a statement calling you a temporary branding tool to distance the company from this scandal. The words sliced her. A tool, she whispered. James winced. You should go in. Luna pushed open the door. Damian sat at his desk surrounded by screens, his jaw clenched hard enough to crack stone. His entire team hovered around him, murmuring advice he wasn't listening to. When his eyes lifted and met hers, Luna saw the storm already raging inside him. Everyone out, he said sharply. The room emptied. Silence slammed into place. Luna stepped forward slowly. Damian, I didn't know. I swear I didn't. I know, he said quickly. I don't blame you. Relief trembled through her, but only for a moment, because Damian's expression wasn't soft. It was tortured, closed. I can fix the story, he said, voice low. I just need to create distance, temporarily. Her breath caught. Distance, Damian exhaled shakily and rolled back from the desk, rubbing his forehead. Luna. The shareholders are demanding a statement. The Morimoto deal is on the edge. The story paints you as a liar who took advantage of my condition. People love that narrative, and if I don't respond quickly, they will come after you. They already are, she whispered. I know, he said, pained, which is why I need to handle this strategically. If we deny everything and emphasize that you were, he hesitated. The silence hurt. Hired, he finished. Luna blinked. Hired, she repeated numbly. You were hired to play my girlfriend, he said softly. That's the only truth the public will accept quickly. The fastest way to kill Vivian's narrative is to admit you were part of a PR plan, not part of my life. The last part landed in her chest like a knife. Not part of your life. Damian flinched. That's not what I meant. Luna, you know that's not. I know exactly what it means, she said, her voice breaking. It means the story only matters when it hurts your deals, and I only matter when I fit the role you gave me. Damian wheeled toward her immediately. Luna, stop, listen, please. But something inside her cracked. Last night on the balcony, he had asked her whether any of it felt like acting anymore. Now she saw the answer written everywhere. It was always acting to you, she whispered. Damian's breath hitched. No, that's not true. Then tell me what is true, she demanded. Tell me what last night was. Because I stood there thinking that maybe you saw me as more than a role. More than someone you hired. Damian opened his mouth. And for the first time since she met him, he had no words. The silence confirmed everything she feared. Her throat tightened as tears blurred her vision. I can't be a PR tactic for you, Damian, she whispered. And I can't stay where I'm unwanted, the second things get difficult. You're not unwanted, he said urgently. But she was already backing away. Tell the board whatever you need to, she said, forcing the words out. I won't ruin your company or your image. Luna, he said, his voice cracking, don't walk away. She shook her head, wiping her tears. You can't lose what you never truly had. Then she opened the door and stepped into the hallway. As it closed behind her, Damian pressed his fists against his thighs, his breath trembling, his chest shattering. For the first time in years, not from pain, not from therapy, not from paralysis, but from the fear of losing someone he was finally starting to love. Rain hammered against the kitchen window as Luna scrubbed dishes with a force that made the plates rattle. She didn't hear the storm. She barely heard Theo humming as he colored on the living room floor. All she heard was Damian's voice from earlier flat, calculated, shaped for boardrooms, not hearts. You were hired. We need distance, not part of my life. Each word replayed like a bruise being pressed from the inside. The doorbell rang. Theo perked up. Mom, maybe it's... Mr. Damian Luna's heart lurched painfully. It's not, she said quickly. Stay here. When she opened the door, a woman stood beneath the shelter of the porch, mid-40s, elegant, carrying an umbrella. Luna stiffened. She recognized her from photos online. Isabella Blackwell, Damian's older sister, the only family member he never talked about. Miss Luna Reed, Isabella asked gently. Luna swallowed. Yes. May I come in? Luna hesitated, then stepped aside. Inside, Isabella looked around the modest apartment with quiet, worried eyes. I'm sorry to come unannounced. Damian doesn't know I'm here. He would probably be furious. Luna crossed her arms, wary. Then why are you here? Isabella sighed. Because my brother is an idiot. Luna blinked. Isabella offered a sad smile. A brilliant, wounded idiot who doesn't know how to hold on to the good things he's given. The words struck something raw. Luna looked toward Theo, who was now watching them curiously. Sweetheart, she said softly, can you go to your room for a minute? Theo nodded, scampering down the hall. When he was out of earshot, Isabella sat at the table. I know what happened. Vivian leaked the story because she's bitter and ambitious. But Damian reacted the way he always reacts when he's scared. He wasn't scared, Luna whispered. He was ashamed. Isabella shook her head. Oh, he was terrified, Luna. Damian spent 2 years convinced he isn't enough, not as a man, not as a leader, not as a brother. Losing his legs wasn't just physical. It took everything he believed made him worthy of love. Luna's throat tightened, but she said nothing. Isabella leaned forward. And then you came along. And suddenly he had something to lose again. So he panicked. He pushed me away, Luna whispered. Because he doesn't know how to fight for someone without feeling like he's dragging them into his darkness. Luna's eyes burned. That doesn't excuse what he said. It doesn't, Isabella agreed softly. But it explains it. Silence weighed between them. Then Isabella took a deep breath. Luna, do you care for him? Luna looked away. It doesn't matter. He made his choice. Did he? Isabella asked. Or did you leave before giving him the chance to choose you outside of fear? The question hit harder than she expected. Before Luna could respond, Isabella stood. He's alone right now, truly alone. I haven't seen him like this since the accident. Luna's breath stuttered. Is he okay? No, Isabella said simply. He hasn't answered calls from anyone. Not James, not the board, not even his therapist. Luna's chest squeezed painfully. He's breaking, Isabella whispered. And the only person he wants in the room is the one who walked out. Luna closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. I don't know if I can go back. Then, don't decide today, Isabella said gently. Just go see him. Even if you don't speak, let him know he isn't alone again. Isabella squeezed her hand and slipped out the door quietly. Luna stood at the threshold long after she left, listening to the storm. Behind her, Theo peeked from the hallway. Mom, is Mr. Damian sad? Luna knelt, pulling him close. Yes, sweetheart, I think he is. Theo's small hand touched her cheek. Then we should help him. His innocence cut right through her defenses. But I don't know what to say, Luna whispered. You don't have to say anything, Theo said simply. Just be there, like he was at my school. Heroes don't leave heroes. Luna hugged him tightly, her heart aching in every direction. That night, when Theo fell asleep, she sat on the couch, clutching the edge of a blanket, staring at the dark window. Her mind replayed every moment with Damian, the laughter, the softness, the balcony question he never finished. Does any part of this feel like acting anymore? Her breath shook. No, she whispered into the empty room. It never was. In the early hours of morning, exhaustion pulled her into sleep. But her dreams were thick with Damian alone, staring out over the city from his penthouse window, shoulders shaking, hands limp in his lap, the world too heavy to hold. She woke with her heart pounding, an answer blooming painfully inside her. She couldn't abandon him, not like this, not when he needed someone to stay. Before dawn, Luna stood, slipped on a coat, and kissed Theo's forehead. I'll be back before breakfast, she whispered. The elevator ride to Damian's penthouse felt unbearably long. When the doors opened, the hallway was dim, silent, almost hollow. She knocked on his door. No answer. Her chest tightened. She knocked again, harder. Still nothing. Fear spiked through her as she reached for the emergency intercom beside the door. She hesitated. Then the lock clicked quietly. The door opened a few inches. Damian sat inside, unshaven hair messily falling over his forehead, eyes red-rimmed with sleeplessness. When he saw her, something in him shattered. Luna. His voice was sandpaper. You came. She stepped forward, breath trembling. Of course I did, she whispered. The door opened wider as Damian rolled back from it, his eyes fixed on Luna with a mixture of disbelief and aching relief. His hair was unkempt, his eyes rimmed red, his shoulders slumped in a way she had never seen before. It was the look of a man who had run out of masks and armor. Luna stepped inside, slowly closing the door behind her. The penthouse was dim-heavy with silence. Curtains half drawn, empty cups on the counter, and the air stale like it hadn't been opened in days. Damian looked smaller somehow, not in strength but in hope. "You came," he whispered again. "I did," she said softly. His breath shuddered out of him. "I thought I'd imagined the knock." Luna walked toward him, stopping a foot away. "You didn't imagine it." He looked up at her eyes glossy. "I'm sorry," he said, voice raw. "For everything I said. For everything I didn't say." Luna's throat tightened. "Damian, you hurt me, I know." His voice cracked. "I hurt myself too. The moment you walked out, everything inside me fell apart. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know if I deserved to." She exhaled slowly. "You should have trusted me. You should have trusted us." He nodded, shoulders trembling. "I was scared. Not of you, of losing you before I had the right to call you mine." Luna stepped closer. "You don't get to decide what you are to me, Damian. You just have to be honest." He swallowed hard, staring at his hands. "Then the truth is, you mean more to me than I know how to say. And when that article hit, my first instinct was to protect you. My second was to push you away so you couldn't hurt me back. I know it makes no sense, but losing the use of my legs wasn't the worst part of the accident. It was losing the belief that anyone would stay." Luna's heart cracked open. She knelt down in front of him. "I'm here now, so talk to me." He closed his eyes, steadied himself, then reached for the wheels of his chair. "There's something I need to show you." She stood watching as he positioned himself near the edge of the couch. His body shook with effort as he gripped the armrest. "Damian," she started. "Let me try," he whispered. He braced his arms and pushed. His muscles strained, face contorted, sweat breaking instantly across his brow. For a terrifying moment, Luna thought he might collapse. But slowly, painfully, he lifted himself just an inch, then another. His legs trembled violently, but they held enough for him to hover above the chair. Luna gasped, covering her mouth. "Damian." "I've been practicing," he panted, "for months. Quietly, slowly. I didn't want you to see until I could give you something real." "You've already given me something real," she whispered, her eyes burning with tears. His arms buckled and he fell back into the chair. But this time he wasn't ashamed. He let the tears come. For the first time, he didn't hide them. Luna cupped his face. "You don't need to stand to prove your worth. You already stand in every way that matters." Damian leaned his forehead against her shoulder, breathing hard. "Please don't leave again." She wrapped her arms around him. "I won't. Not if you let me stay for the real version of you." He nodded against her, gripping her tightly. A sharp knock startled them both. Luna wiped her face as James rushed in, breathless. Damian Vivian leaked another story. Worse this time. "The board is panicking. They're considering a vote to remove you." Damian's straightened jaw tightening with a resolve she hadn't seen in days. "Then we end this now." Luna blinked. "What do you mean I'll tell the truth?" "All of it." He looked at her eyes blazing with clarity. "And I want you beside me when I do." Minutes later, they were standing before a sea of reporters, camera lights bursting like fireworks. Damian wheeled to the podium, Luna and Theo standing beside him. Theo held Damian's hand tightly, refusing to let go. Damian adjusted the microphone. "There have been lies spread about Luna Reed," he began, voice firm and clear. "Lies meant to paint her as a manipulative woman, hired to control my image. Lies meant to humiliate her and destroy her reputation." The room stilled. "The truth," he continued, "is that I was the one hiding behind roles. I was the one afraid. Luna didn't break me. She saved me." Gasps rippled through the crowd. "I asked that the media stop dragging a single mother into a storm she never asked for. And if anyone must take responsibility, let it be me." Theo tugged his sleeve and whispered loudly into the mic. "We're not going anywhere." Reporters melted, cameras clicked like rain. After the conference, they returned to Damian's penthouse rooftop garden. The string lights glowed softly as Damian rolled toward Luna. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. Luna's breath caught. Damian, it's not an engagement ring, he said gently. Not yet, but it's a promise that I will stop running, that I will stop hiding, that I want to build a real life with you and Theo. Her tears spilled instantly as she opened the box to find a simple, beautiful promise ring. Yes, she whispered, yes to all of it. Theo barreled into them, hugging them both. So we're a team forever, Damian smiled, pulling them close. Forever. And for the first time in years, Damian didn't feel broken. He felt whole. He felt home. And under the soft glow of the city lights, they stayed wrapped in one another's arms. No longer roles, no longer strangers, just a family choosing each other again and again. Thank you for staying with their journey. If Luna and Damian's story touched your heart, comment your favorite moment below, tap like to help us grow, and subscribe so you won't miss the next love story in our Soul Stories family. We can't wait to share the next journey with you.